Hello, fellow peasants. Today I'll be reviewing 1998's The Man in the Iron Mask. Okay guys, so I just got done watching The Man in the Iron Mask. This film came out in 1998. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Jeremy Irons, and John Malkovich. So, I remember when this came out, I was like 12, 13 years old. I don't remember like there being like a lot of hype about it or anything, other than like Leonardo DiCaprio was like a big name at that point because Titanic had just released like the year prior. So what is The Man in the Iron Mask about? Basically, it is about the King of France, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, who is basically, he's like a tyrant. He doesn't care about the welfare of his people. He's feeding them spoiled food. He's just acting like a spoiled brat. He's spending all the country's money on war, and he just wastes his time thinking about war and sleeping around, and he doesn't care about the actual lives of the French people. And so basically he has a twin brother, Philip or Felipe, whatever you want to say, and he's the man in the Iron Mask who was placed into prison and has this mask on his head because he didn't want to share his kingdom with his twin brother, essentially. And I'll get into the background a little bit more, into like how all this came about. What do I like about The Man in the Iron Mask? Well, what I do like is the general idea, the idea of that the king had twin sons, twin boys, and he was like, look, I don't want them having some sort of dynasty battle over shit. So I'm going to just have one of the twins move out to I'll send him off to the countryside to live. And you know, he can fuck off, and I'll give the one twin the crown when I die. But then eventually on his deathbed, he admits to his son, who's going to take the throne, and his wife, like, look, he didn't really die. He's on some farm somewhere, living in the countryside. And so he dies. Leonardo DiCaprio takes over from his father, and Leo's like, well, that ain't good enough. So he had his twin brother, seized, kidnapped, put into this mask, and put into a dungeon for 6 years because he basically didn't want the competition. Like, he didn't want his brother getting equal rights to the throne or something, or I don't know. But so I like that story. I like that that one of the twins is a dickhead. He sent the other one away. The guy in the mask is a good guy, and that they're gonna eventually, the people high up, like the king's handlers, are like, let's go break this guy out. We heard there's this guy who looks just like him in this iron mask in prison. Let's bust that guy out and swap the king out. You know what I mean? Do a coup, basically. But they don't know that that's his fucking brother. You know what I mean? Like, so that whole story is really interesting. So I like that. I do like the way it's shot. There are some beautiful shots in this. There are, for the most part, the film does veer almost on like a TV special look. Like, cinematography could be a little bit better because the locations in this film are gorgeous. You can tell they shot at historical sites, and I like the sets in this. I like the locations. I just don't think the cinematography always does the best job of doing justice to the locations and the sets for this film, and the costume design is also good as well, I think. I think with like someone with a better eye, this film could have really popped and could have really felt more epic and on a grand scale. Instead, it just, most of the time, it just feels like it is a TV special or something like that. But it's not horrible. It's not horrible cinematography by any means. It's just kind of, this could be a lot better. This could feel like a Braveheart or something like that. It could have been shot so much more cinematically. I also like the acting in this. For the most part, everyone gives a really decent performance. I can't really complain about any of the performances. Sometimes it feels wooden. I would say like most of the actors in this have a couple lines or scenes where they feel like really wooden. But for overall, everyone gives a decent performance. I would say like everyone's performance is like 90% good, 10% like there's some like, ooh, that didn't land so good. Yeah. So I like the story, very interesting. I like the cinematography, in terms of like the locations and the settings. I think the cinematography could be better, but it is good. It is good. It could have just made this film next level. You know what I mean? It could have drastically improved the viewing experience if the cinematography had been better, but it is good. And I do like the acting. I do like the performances. Let's get into the negatives. So my first negative is the time that it takes to kind of get to the story. I'll admit, like the first half hour to 45 minutes of this film, I was like, all right, let's, I don't mind slow moving things, but I was like, okay, I don't know. It wasn't entertaining me really and catching my attention all the way up until the point that they break Philip out and they bring him back into, society. And you're like, okay, oh shit, like it's going down now. They're training him. They're preparing for him to take over his brother, to take the throne from his brother. And so it gets more interesting around like the halfway point. It's just a little bit of a drag to get there. I feel like this film could have cut a good 10-15 minutes out of the first hour, in my opinion. This film is about 2 hours 12 minutes. I think it could be under 2 hours. I think the runtime here could probably be about an hour and 50 minutes, and it would be solid. What else did I not like? I don't like the inconsistencies in the accents. Leonardo DiCaprio has an American accent the whole film, and so does John Malkovich. They're talking like I'm talking right now. At least like Jeremy Irons has an English accent, and some of the other characters, they have French or Spanish accent. It's like I at least want your accent to in the 1600s to not sound American. Like I need it to sound European for me to somewhat be invested 100%. And I think that's what stopped me from going 100% into like buying into some of these performances, is because you literally have Leo and John Malkovich like talking like they're from fucking Kansas City or like or New Jersey or something, like just standard American accent, and it's just like, oh, like that doesn't help this out very much. But I was able to look past that because it was for the most part an entertaining film. What would my other negative be? I don't really have any other negatives other than some of the accent inconsistencies and the first 45 minutes to an hour moving it a little too slow, in my opinion. In terms of a 1 out of 10, I would say I would give The Man in the Iron Mask a 7 out of 10. I would give it a 7 out of 10. I liked it. It gets a lot of shit. I've read the reviews. It has a 32% or something like that on Rotten Tomatoes. The critics really hate this movie, it seems. And it's not just the critics. Like, there's people on Reddit who are like, this movie's dog shit. And there's people on the YouTube comments saying this movie's horrible. It's atrocious. And I read all those reviews and all that stuff before I watched the film. And I still came out the other end liking it. So, like, I think it is worth a watch. I think it is a decent film. I don't think it deserves the hate that it gets. I think it's an interesting story set with an interesting story with great locations, great settings, great acting for the most part. I just don't see it past 2 hours for me. Like, it was a good film. Is it great? No. Would I watch it again? Maybe. I'm not sure. Probably. I would say if I were... Yeah. I would say there's like a 60-70% chance I would watch this film again. But yeah, that's it, guys. It's a 7 out of 10 for me. I feel like it got a lot of hate early in its day upon its release, and I think it still gets a lot of hate. There is a 4K release out there somewhere. Might have to go on eBay. I went on Amazon to look to see if they had it. Amazon doesn't seem to have it right now. At least the US Amazon store. So check your UK or other Amazon stores. But there is a 4K release of this film. I haven't seen any reviews on that yet. There's not a whole lot of information about this film on YouTube. It's almost like this film has just went off the map and disappeared. And it's quite a shame, because I do think it is an entertaining film. I did enjoy watching it, and I will most likely watch it again. It's not guaranteed, but I might pop it back on at some point. Anyway, guys, that's it. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about 1998's The Man in the Iron Mask, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. If you love it, you hate it. If you've never seen it, go check it out. I recommend it. 7 out of 10. All right, peasants. Peace out. Bye-bye.